My husband looked at me with disgust and said I was too fat to be seen with him anymore. This man, who promised to love me forever, kicked me out like yesterday's trash. But 3 years later, he was on his knees crying, begging me to come back. And baby, karma, she don't miss. If you've ever been made to feel like you weren't enough, this story is for you. Hit that subscribe button and stick around till the end, because what goes around really does come back around, and sometimes it comes back hard. Let's get into it. My name is Destiny Thompson, and 5 years ago, I married who I thought was the man of my dreams. Christopher Sterling. If you've heard that name before, yeah, that Christopher Sterling. Tech billionaire, Forbes list, the whole 9 yards. And me? I was a 28-year-old marketing executive, doing pretty well for myself, but nothing compared to his level. When he chose me, I felt like the luckiest woman alive. Our wedding was something straight out of a magazine. Literally, it was in a magazine. 300 guests, designer dress, ceremony overlooking the Pacific Ocean. I remember standing there in my size 8 Vera Wang, looking into Christopher's eyes, believing every word he said, for better or worse, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. I believed him with everything in me. Life after that was like a dream. We had this massive house in Beverly Hills with more rooms than we knew what to do with. I'm talking a home theatre, wine cellar, infinity pool, the works. Christopher would take me to charity galas, business dinners, vacations in the Maldives and Paris. Everyone called us the perfect power couple. He was the brilliant tech genius, and I was his beautiful, supportive wife. I helped him make business decisions, planned his events, managed his public image. I wasn't just arm candy, I was his partner in every sense of the word. Then I got pregnant. Y'all, we were over the moon. Christopher started designing a nursery immediately. We picked out baby names. He told everyone at his company that he was going to be a father. I was glowing, happy, planning my maternity leave. Everything was perfect, until it wasn't. At 4 months, I started having complications. The doctors put me on strict bed rest. I couldn't work, couldn't exercise, could barely move without risking the baby. Christopher hired nurses, brought me everything I needed. He seemed supportive at first, but I could feel him getting distant. He was at the office more, on his phone constantly. When he was home, he seemed annoyed. Then, at 6 months, I lost the baby. I can't even describe that pain. It's like someone reached into your chest and pulled out your heart while it was still beating. I fell into the darkest depression I'd ever experienced. I couldn't eat. Then I couldn't stop eating. The medication they put me on made me gain weight rapidly. In 6 months, I went from a size 8 to a size 16. My body didn't feel like mine anymore. But honestly, I didn't care. I was just trying to survive each day. Christopher cared, though. Oh, he cared a lot. He stopped touching me, stopped kissing me goodbye. He moved into the guest room, saying he didn't want to disturb my sleep. But I knew the truth. I could see it in his eyes every time he looked at me. Disgust, disappointment, like I was something broken that he didn't know how to fix. The comments started small. Maybe you should try going for a walk. Then they got worse. Other women bounced back from pregnancy. What's wrong with you? He hired a personal trainer without asking me, then a nutritionist, then a therapist, but not for my grief, for my weight. Like I was a project he needed to complete, a problem he needed to solve. I tried to explain. Baby, I tried so hard. I told him about the grief sitting in my chest like a stone, about the medication side effects, about how I was barely holding on mentally and physically. You know what he said? You're making excuses. You just need to try harder, like I wasn't already fighting for my life every single day. His mother started calling more often, dropping hints about how a wife should present herself, making comments about how Christopher needed someone who could represent the family properly. I felt like I was drowning, and the two people who were supposed to love me most were holding my head underwater. Then came that dinner. I'll never forget it. We were sitting in our dining room, this beautiful room with a chandelier that cost more than most people's cars, and he was picking at his food, not looking at me. I asked him what was wrong. He put down his fork, looked me dead in my eyes, and said the words that shattered my world. "I can't be seen with someone who let herself go like this. You're embarrassing me in my circles, Destiny. This isn't what I signed up for." I just stared at him. This man who I held when his father died, who I supported through every business crisis, who I loved with everything in me. He was looking at me like I was nothing, like our 5 years together meant nothing, like my pain meant nothing. "I want a divorce," he said. Just like that. Cold. Final. "We have a prenup. You'll get $500,000. That's more than fair. $500,000. This man was worth $3 billion. Billion. With a B. And he was giving me $500,000 like it was some generous gift. I'd given up career opportunities for him, moved across the country, lost myself in being his wife, and this was what I was worth to him. 2 weeks later, I was out. Moved into a tiny 2-bedroom apartment in a neighborhood that I would have never imagined living in. Everything I owned fit in my Honda Civic. I went from a mansion to 700 square feet. From a closet full of designer clothes to wearing the same 5 outfits on rotation. From being Mrs. Sterling, Billionaire's wife, to just Destiny, divorced and broken. Those first few months were the hardest of my life. Harder than losing the baby, because at least then I had hope. Now? I had nothing. I spent days in bed, crying, wondering what I did wrong, wondering if he was right, if I was the problem, if I really had let myself go, if I was unlovable like this. But slowly, and I mean slowly, baby, something started to shift. I found this therapist, Dr. Williams, who actually listened, who helped me understand that I wasn't the problem, that grief isn't something you just bounce back from, that my body wasn't the enemy, that Christopher's cruelty said everything about him and nothing about me. I joined a support group for women who had lost pregnancies. Hearing their stories, sharing mine, it started to heal something in me. I met this woman named Angela who became my best friend. She was a life coach, and she told me something I'll never forget. She said, "Destiny, you're not broken. You're breaking open, and that's where the light gets in." I started small. Got out of bed every day, started my therapy homework, journaling, walking, not to lose weight, but because it cleared my head. I went back to school and got my MBA, studied at that tiny kitchen table in my apartment, sometimes crying over my textbooks, but I kept going. Then I had an idea. All those years helping Christopher with his business, I'd learned so much. Why not use it for myself? I started a consulting business helping women entrepreneurs. Started from my living room with one client, a woman who ran a small bakery and needed marketing help. That turned into 2 clients, then 5, then 10. A year after the divorce, I moved to a better apartment. 2 years after, I hired my first employee. I was featured in a local business magazine. Me, Destiny Thompson, not Mrs. Sterling, just me. And you know what? I was proud. I looked at my life, my small but growing business, my real friendships, my healing heart, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Joy. I even started dating again. Nothing serious at first. Just remembering what it felt like to have a man open a door for me, compliment my smile instead of my body, actually listen when I talked. Then I met Gerald. He was an architect, soft-spoken, kind, with these warm brown eyes that actually saw me. He didn't care that I wore a size 16. He loved my curves, loved my ambition, loved my heart, loved me. Meanwhile, from what I heard through mutual friends, Christopher's life was falling apart like a house of cards. His company started having problems, bad business decisions, scandals. Turns out I'd been doing more for his success than either of us realized. He dated a string of Instagram models and actresses, but none of them lasted more than a few months. His mother got sick, and none of his shallow girlfriends stuck around to help. He was learning a hard lesson about the difference between real love and conditional attraction. Then the lawsuit started. A business partner sued him for fraud. His company lost major contracts. There was an investigation. His perfect image was crumbling. One of his ex-girlfriends sold a story to the tabloids about how horribly he treated women, including details about our marriage. Even his own mother stopped talking to him when she found out the real reason he divorced me. I won't lie. When I heard all this, part of me felt vindicated. But mostly, I just felt sad for who I used to be. The woman who thought she needed his validation, who believed her worth was tied to a number on a scale or a ring on her finger. 3 years after he kicked me out, I was in my office building, my building, because my business had grown that much, when security called. "Miss Thompson, there's a Christopher Sterling here to see you." Says it's urgent. My heart dropped. I hadn't seen him since the divorce was finalized, but I told them to let him come up. I needed to see this for myself. Y'all, when he walked into my office, I almost didn't recognize him. This man who used to be so polished, so put together? He looked rough, dark circles under his eyes, wrinkled suit. He'd aged 10 years in 3, and when he saw me, glowing, confident, successful, happy, something broke in his face. "Destiny," he said, his voice cracking. "Please, I need to talk to you." I gestured to the chair across from my desk, stayed professional. "You have 5 minutes, Christopher." He didn't sit. Instead, he did something I never expected. He dropped to his knees right there in my office, tears streaming down his face. "I was wrong. I was so wrong. I threw away the best thing in my life. You were my good luck charm, Destiny. Everything fell apart without you. I need you back, please." I watched him cry, watched him beg. This man who made me feel worthless was now on his knees in front of me. And you know what I felt? Nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, just peace. "Christopher," I said calmly, "I'm not your good luck charm. I'm not your redemption story. I'm not your second chance. I'm a woman who deserves real love, and you proved you were never capable of giving that to me." "I'll do anything," he sobbed. "I'll give you whatever you want. Money, the house, anything. Just come back." I stood up, walked around my desk, looked down at this man who once made me feel so small. "I don't want your money, Christopher. I have my own now. I don't want your house. I have my own place, and I love it. And I definitely don't want you. That ship didn't just sail, it sank to the bottom of the ocean. But Destiny, you divorced me when I needed you most. When I was grieving our child, when I was at my lowest, you threw me away because I gained weight, because I wasn't perfect enough for your image. And now that your life is falling apart, now that you need me, you want to come back? No, sir, that's not how this works." I walked to my office door and opened it. "Security will show you out. Lose my number, lose my address. We're done. We've been done." He left, still crying, trying to grab my hand, and I pulled away. Watched him walk out of my building, out of my life. For good this time. Later that evening, Gerald came over, brought me flowers just because. We cooked dinner together in my kitchen, laughing and dancing to old R&B. He held me close and told me I was beautiful, and I believed him. Not because he said it, but because I finally knew it was true. I found out later from a friend that Christopher's situation got even worse. His girlfriend left him for someone richer. His mother refused to see him unless he apologized to me, which she knew he couldn't do properly because his ego was still too big. He was losing his house. The legal troubles were drowning him. He was exactly where he put me 3 years ago, alone, broke and broken. Except his situation was his own doing, his own karma. Me? I'm thriving. My business just opened a second location. Gerald proposed last month, and I said yes. I'm healthy and happy. I'm still a size 16, and I've never felt more beautiful in my life. I look in the mirror now and see a survivor, a warrior, a woman who built herself back up from nothing and created something amazing. Christopher texts sometimes. Still begging, still apologizing. I blocked him months ago. Because here's what I learned. Closure doesn't come from the person who hurt you. It comes from you deciding you're worth more than they ever gave you. So, yeah, my ex-husband is probably somewhere right now, still miserable, still alone, still trying to figure out where it all went wrong. And me, I'm living proof that your value isn't determined by someone else's inability to see it. I'm successful, I'm loved, and honey, I'm happy. And that's the best karma of all. If this story touched your heart, do me a favor. Smash that like button and drop a comment telling me, have you ever had someone underestimate you only to watch karma do its thing? Share your story below because we're building a community of strong women here. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Remember, Queens, you are enough, exactly as you are, period. I'll see you in the next one. Peace and blessings.